remember the second thing that people were saying that they used was other communities, parks and recreation system. So somebody could say, you know what, I'm satisfied going out of the community, going into a walking trail. I'm satisfied doing that. So it doesn't mean that it has to be here in Woodridge. That 14% or that 13% of people are saying, hey, I don't mind driving 15 or 20 minutes to use an indoor walking track someplace else. I'll do it. And that's a point of what we're looking at is what percentage of people are saying we don't need it here in Woodridge, we can get it someplace else. And that's what you're going to get. And you will get that for anything. For any type of an operation, you will get a percentage of people for something that you don't have who say, hey, I'm satisfied because somebody else has, and I don't mind going that far. So that would be why people are saying that. But you can see the highest percentage says no. And any time this number is bigger than this number, you get a lot of complaints about it. And that's where the park board is going to hear people saying nobody is happy with, you know, indoor swimming or indoor walking or indoor sports fields. Well, some people are, but the vast majority of people are not. So then when you take these numbers and you say, okay, how did that transpose into people who don't feel that their needs are being met? These are all people whose needs are 50% or less being met. Because we basically say if your need is 75% being met, you're pretty happy, right? If your need's 100% being met, you are real happy. But if your need's only 50% being met, or if your need's 25 or 0, you're not real happy. So when you look at those, right at the top, these are all indoor spaces. Indoor walking track, indoor fitness, indoor swimming. Those are the three biggest indoor needs. I mean, unmet needs in your entire community. And so you get down to neighborhood parks, you only have 1,234 people who say that they have an unmet need, even though that's the biggest need in the community. And the reason that that's such a small unmet need is you're doing such a great job with your neighborhood parks that people are saying, we don't have an unmet need. What's important is that Mike and his staff and the park board continue to maintain those neighborhood parks at a good level so you stay at 100%. You know, that's real key because that is right at the top of the heap of what people are saying that they have a need for. So you don't want to just say, well, you know, since people are 100%, let's invest our money someplace else. No, they're saying continue investing where you are, but you don't have to double your money for that. Does that make sense? So now we've said you have a need. Then now we're getting into what's your unmet need. The next thing then is to say, what are your priorities? And as I talked about earlier, the average person might say, I have a need for 10 things. So then what you really want to know is what's your first most important, and what's your second, what's your third. And that's important to the park board because they can't do everything. So they have to do the most important things for the entire community. And when we ask that question, right at the top, blue, neighborhood parks, 34% of households say, of all these 26 things, a third of the households say neighborhood parks are in their top 4 things. And the blue line represents number 1 choice. And so you could see, and I call the blue line intensity of interest. People show up to public meetings if it's their first choice. So you see that blue line, neighborhood parks, the biggest blue line and the biggest combination of the 4. But then you get into other things that are blue. We talked about multi-use facilities earlier, right here, soccer, football, lacrosse. That's a pretty big blue line for first choice. So what you have there is you have a lot of people that's their first choice, but not as many as second, third, and fourth because, you know, of children, or they may be competitive athletes. I had 2 daughters who were very competitive athletes. We used to travel around with them. We would have been one of those households that were first choice because that's what we did. But now we're empty nesters. So we're probably closer up here. But when you look at all of these, neighborhood parks and outdoor swimming pools, those are the most important facilities for households with children under 10. And so why would one of the reasons neighborhood parks be the most important for households with children under 10, would you think? What do neighborhood parks have that nobody else has? Playgrounds. And if you look through this book, you're going to see that people who feel that pet playgrounds are of priority importance, for under 10, huge. It's like 35% of the households think that's one of the 4 most important things. You get the households with people 55 and older with no children, it's dropping down to about 5%, and that's generally grandparents on that. So neighborhood parks are important that way. Bicycle pathway systems and indoor pool, that's the most important item for households which have children 10 to 19. And neighborhood parks and bicycle pathway system, that's the most important for households without children. And a lot of times it's a neighborhood park also is, that gives you your character of your neighborhood. The neighborhood park, even if you don't use it, is in nice shape. You like it. Now we get into programs. And right at the top, we're talking about something that you don't have. Biggest need is a farmer's market. You don't have a farmer's market right now. But you're thinking of...
We're not putting another agency in town.
Right. But people are saying, so that would be something like, hey, that's an interesting thing to get out into, because people are saying they have a need for that. So you look at what was the biggest unmet need, it's right up here. I don't want to go through all the other slides, but it's right up here. Year-round water fitness is next, and then you're looking. And by the way, you have a much bigger unmet need for things for programs than you do for facilities. In other words, people are less satisfied in Woodridge with your programming and the depth of your program, the breadth of your programs, than they are as far as your facilities. And then you look at what are the most important programs, and right at the top, farmers market. In every demographic area, farmers market came out #1. By the way, the only other community that we had in the United States that farmers market came up #1, only other community was Bloomington, Indiana. We have never, I mean, I was pretty shocked when I saw it up there because I've only seen it one other time. But that's why you do it in various communities. The next thing that we looked at is what do you not offer that people would like to see? Right at the top of the list, 46% of households said that they get a need for adult fitness and wellness programs. That's higher, by the way, than everything that you're offering right now for a program. You don't have one program right now that you're offering that 46% of households say that they have a need for. And then next is recreational youth sports, adult sports, active adult programs. And if you look at that adult fitness and wellness program, there you have to look at every household that we surveyed as an adult, because you have to be 18 or older to answer the survey. But that's saying that half the adults in the community are saying that they have a need for adult fitness programs. And we all know the baby boomers are really into health and fitness. Everybody is becoming more into that. When we look at how well your needs are being met for these, remember I said 30% or higher is really good? But that 40-some% who said they have a need for adult fitness and wellness programs, that's at 14%, saying that their needs are being met. And by the way, that means their needs are being met any place in the community. It's not just through the park district, it's any place. Because the average person doesn't really know if the park district's offering it, if the county's offering it, if the school district's offering it. They don't know. And by the way, they don't care because it's their tax dollars. Sometimes people will say, well, that's our program, or it's their program. A citizen is saying, no, it's all our program because it's our tax dollars. They expect people to work together. Does that make sense? So they really don't know who's offering this. And that's why we're saying throughout the entire community, people are not happy with the opportunities for adult fitness. They're not happy for the opportunities for adult art and dance. You have a lot of people who are not satisfied in that. But then when you talk about numbers, that's a big number, 3,000, almost 4,000 households who say they have an unmet need for adult fitness. It's almost double anything else that you have as far as an unmet need for programming. Now, level of satisfaction with various